I don't know how this isn't a bigger topic on the internet, but when I'm looking at staking and rewards, like there is no other cryptocurrency on the market right now that you can just put it in your wallet and you just start collecting rewards off of. Because I was reading, I don't remember if it was Stellar or if it was something else. Like in order to stake on those coins, you have to like assign a node preference, and you have to come back and modify how you're assigning nodes. Like I don't even, honestly, not even entirely sure what the word node means in these contexts. And if I don't, someone who's technologically literate, just most people are going to have no clue how to collect rewards on that. So the idea that like with ALGO coins, you just literally sit on them, nothing else is required. I think that's an understated benefit of the coin long term that most people probably haven't taken into account yet.
And welcome to the Compounding Interest Podcast. My name is Jesse Rogers, and I'm here with my friends, Guy, Shane, and Rich. How you guys doing tonight?
Excellent.
Pretty good. Yeah, doing good. It's Friday. It's a good day.
Yes.
It's been a good week for a lot of us. It's been a good month for a lot of us. If you've been in the crypto game, like some of us have been, and dabbling even is going to get you some rewards during a bull market. So we've been seeing. I just to speak for myself, I've been seeing almost as much gains from this last month from my crypto account as I have from my paycheck. Like that's how good things are looking, or that's how depressing my paycheck is, depending on how you want to look at it. But so I guess I want to just kind of give a little disclaimer. None of us on this call are financial advisors. Last time we did have one that was a legitimate financial advisor, but he is at a birthday party tonight, so he is not going to be able to be here. So none of us are qualified to say anything about anything, but we are going to have some fun talking about this stuff.
The good news is there's no one here to fact check me. So that's
absolutely. Absolutely. So actually to establish our credibility, a little bit, I will say we know what it's like to pass up on an opportunity for sure.
I think I know where this is going.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with myself and Shane. I mean, we were talking about this back in 2009. I remember us coming back from Schoenbeck's class. I distinctly remember the walk back towards the car and us talking about how there's got to be some digital currency emerging in the next 10 years. And we didn't really research it any further than that. I went back to playing Skyrim, or actually it wasn't out yet. I went back to playing Oblivion, and that was that, after I did my homework, if I did it. And Shane, also, you didn't jump on that train right away either, did you?
No, I mean, I touched it every once in a while, like just to put money online in poker, because that was the way you got money on poker sites back then. I mean, you still do. I still do. So, but I didn't hold it for very long. I didn't really think of it as like an investment. It was more of like, this is how I get my money on the poker site.
Right.
So,
right. And Guy, I think you had an encounter with a Bitcoin enthusiast at one point.
Yeah, well, and I think I told this on a previous episode of this podcast, but when I was working on my AA at nights, and this must have been back around 2010, 11, 12, in that era when Bitcoin, was in its infancy, and nobody was widely talking about it. And I would go into this economics class, and there was this kid that sat in the front row before class every day. He'd be talking to the professor. You hear about Bitcoin, on and on. And I'm like sitting in the back, like, dude, shut up. I want to just get this lecture over with. And, he was every day, the whole semester, and talking about Bitcoin. And, this is back when in its infancy, what was the, what were its opening, costs, in the dollars, not even, I don't know exactly what it was back then at the time, but, definitely not what it is today. So I always kick myself whenever someone says Bitcoin. The first thing that comes to my mind is that I eat my words on that every day, because had I actually just looked at it and had, and I guess, as Jesse said a million times, that's the point of this podcast, to kind of teach those lessons to people early, hopefully. But, it's definitely fun to play with the cryptos now. I can't really afford meaningful amounts of Bitcoin, but see where the trend goes as a whole, because I don't want to miss out like that again, because that was a real pain.
And they say, you know, the best time to invest would have been 20 years ago, or the best time to invest would have been, in this case, like maybe 11 years ago, 10 years ago. But the second best time is now. And so it's not too late for us to jump on this train. And if you can get a hold of that guy, if you remember who he is, I'm sure he's on a private island somewhere, and he'd love to talk to you.
I'm sure he would love to tell me all about it.
But yeah, so there's definitely a lot of good projects in the works right now. I've been pretty publicly a big fan of a company called Algorand, or foundation called Algorand, that is it actually pays you a compounding, which, you know, of course that's going to appeal to me. It pays you compounding interest on its
Wait a second, why does that sound so familiar?
I know. So it is a super cool thing, because your assets are building other assets. So I definitely like that about the project. It's proof of stake rather than proof of work, so it's more efficient than what Bitcoin uses. And it's got a lot of partnerships with, like, for example, USD Coin. I think they have something that I was reading about with a security company called Hex that's supposed to be doing something for their network. So I don't know a lot about the particulars of it, but it all looks very good to me. I like the feel of it. But as far as like actual, you know, that's only one project. There's thousands and thousands of projects out there, and some of them you can pick up, you can swoop in and get it for less than a penny. Some of these things, and others, you know, 5 cents, 10 cents, 50 cents, and all of these things, if they have value, are going to go all over the place. So Rich, do you do more of like investing in Bitcoin or Ethereum mainly, or do you do like some of the smaller coins too?
So I have this incredible ability to only buy things at their peaks. Like, that's what I'm really good at. So I came in and I started dealing with crypto in 2017. Whenever the last time Bitcoin peaked at 20K, that's when I bought in. Now I didn't buy in a ton, but then of course I squandered some away shortly after that, and I lost a little bit of money on it. But most of my focus is on Ethereum and Litecoin. It was on Litecoin. I've since moved most of my Litecoin over to ALGO, because you've converted me, Jesse. So I'm a convert of ALGO. So that's, I mean, I don't have anything game-changing invested. Like, it's nothing compared to my retirement portfolio. It's nothing compared to my ETFs. But I am very, very excited about algos and Algorand for the long-term future. And my whole, just to give a quick overview of like how I see the whole crypto market right now, is I think there's still a lot of good runway for some of the older proof of work cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum currently, before it transitions to 2.0. I think Litecoin still has some runway room too, and there's a few other coins that are proof of work coins. But my totally arbitrary goalpost is that, like, 2 to 5 years from now, everything that's proof of work is going to fall off the map, except maybe Bitcoin. I don't see Bitcoin necessarily going anywhere, but I think when Ethereum totally finishes its transition to 2.0, I think everything else besides Bitcoin that's proof of work it'll be sand in your fingers, and it'll go to the ground. So that's sort of where, as I've been doing research, I've been trying to find, like, okay, what's every single coin, like in the top 20, that's proof of stake, and that's a potential contender against algo. So I'm trying to figure out, coming from a sales background too, because I did sales, like, I'm trying to think of a product, like, what's the most unique offering that this product has that nothing else can compete with. So when I'm looking at the proof of stake coins, I'm trying to figure out who's got the most unique, the most valuable capabilities that nobody else has. I don't see anything else really comparing to algo. I think XLM, the Stellar Lumens, is an interesting coin. Cardano is an interesting coin with, I don't even remember, the ADA. And I think like 2 others that not even coming to me off the top of my head, as far as the proof of stake coins are concerned, are interesting. I think there's like 5 coins, when you count algos among those, that are like a real solid 5 to 10 year coin. And otherwise it's just Bitcoin, and Ethereum 2.0 obviously is a solid proof of stake coin too in the future. So that's kind of where I see the whole marketplace right now.
What about coins that may have not been developed already that may be developed in the future?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and that's part of what I learned today. I think a huge buying point for me is to find out how these like huge partnerships are going, because like with Algorand and Stellar, they have the foundation, like the actual DeFi crypto network, and they're essentially They're essentially building their own decentralized internet, and that's something Bitcoin didn't do because it was the first one. But for all these other guys, they're essentially building their own decentralized internet, and so I think the new coins are going to be at a real disadvantage, because what Stellar right now is doing, what Cardano right now is doing, and Algorand, they're building these partnerships. Those are huge industries. Like JP Morgan has a stable coin, the US dollar coin. They've jumped on, they're running that off of Algorand. And like Jesse mentioned, like the the Marshall Islands, they're launching a, what's the acronym for the central bank coins? I don't remember what that is. But the central bank coins, and I just was looking at this today. I'm going to have to Google that real quick. But I think that'll be a huge determiner, like how many countries are launching their stable coins on a crypto network. So that'll be a huge predictor for popularity going in the future too. I think right now, Ethereum 2.0, Stellar, and Algorand are the biggest ones the only ones I've seen countries actually looking at right now are Stellar and Algorand. I think Cardano is more of like decentralized to escape regulatory overwatch. So I think Cardano is going to be more for organizations and not necessarily countries. But so anyway, to answer your question briefly, I think new players are going to be a real disadvantage because they're not going to have these partnerships. So.
Well, I agree with that to a large extent, except to say that I think some of those new projects will be in partnership with the existing things like Algorand and all of those. And so if you're a new project building on the Algorand chain, they want to support you, and they want your project to be a success. And so some of those new projects that are on proof of stake blockchains, to your point, I think are going to displace even the early movers that are trying to build their blockchains on proof of work. And even if they had a great idea and their project is fantastic, it's going to be really increasingly harder to keep up with the proof of stake efficiency over time.
That was something else too, is I guess a really big question. I do not understand the technical aspect of like where you have Algorand, who has the network essentially, and then you have coins launching on Algorand that can compete with the ALGO coin. You know, I don't quite understand. I know ALGO, just an example, you could look at a number of cryptocurrencies for this, but as an example, so ALGO, the coin, somehow helps as the staking coin. That's how it would retain its value, even with other coins competing against it running on its network. So that's kind of fuzzy to me. Yeah, because you'll have new coins that'll jump on other coins. And I think that's why Ethereum is never going to go away, despite the fact that even Ethereum 2.0, as far as I can tell, is an inferior technology to Algorand. But just so many people have already started development on Ethereum that I just don't see it going anywhere because it has the partnerships. It's going to be legacy all the way through. So.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. Yeah, I sort of see Bitcoin as being like the Napster or being like the what was the thing before Facebook? I can't even remember it.
MySpace.
MySpace. Yeah, as being like the MySpace where it's the rough draft, it's the pioneer, but it's the settlers that make the money. And so I think Bitcoin is not going to disappear. I'm with Rich on that. I think it's still got a long runway as far as several years of strength, but it is losing its dominance even now. It went from, in 2015, holding about 86% of the market, to now in 2020 it had about 66% of the crypto market, which means that over time, it's not even, eventually, if this trend were to continue, it's not even going to be the dominant coin, or at least it's not going to be even half the market anymore. It's going to be continually more and more displaced by other things in the ecosystem. And I think, Rich, the reason why these coins can compete against and still support other coins that compete against them, it's sort of like the Amazon model. I think that is a good way to think about Algorand, is that they are like the platform like Amazon, and you might be selling the same thing that Amazon is and directly competing against Amazon, and they still want you on their ecosystem, because that's for the same sort of reason that you want to have competitors in a shopping mall. You don't want to be the only one in the shopping mall, because your competitors are pulling people into the mall too. It's not just your ads that are getting people to the mall. Their ads are getting people to the mall too, and they're going to walk around. Some of them will pick you. And so I think, you know, a rich and stable ecosystem is really what Algorand is trying to achieve. And so it doesn't surprise me that they are trying to support coins that are even coins that are in some ways competitors to them.
And if I could, I mean, I'm totally biased in favor of algos. I own some. So for our million listeners, you know, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt here. But I have been blown away seeing how many partnerships Algorand Foundation has. And I think it's not clear if they're necessarily undervalued. Like, I have no idea in the short term what's going to happen. So like, I wouldn't necessarily tell people like, you have to buy this coin right now. I mean, maybe tomorrow it'll double in price, but maybe it'll take another year to do that. I honestly have no idea. But the amount of partnerships Algorand has is really incredible, and they don't have a lot of press about it, which I had to go looking for this information, which I think is the other incredible thing about it. And it wouldn't surprise me if their team, and they have like really brilliant, high-level professional corporate team running Algorand Foundation. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if they're deliberately inflating their coins just a little bit, and they're deliberately keeping press under wraps because they're trying to use a lower price point to lure more partnerships in right now. And then at some point in the unknown future, they're going to stop suppressing it, and they're just going to let it rise to its natural value. And I want to be there for that. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I think there will be a huge explosion of price at some point when they're like, okay, we have like the big partnerships we want. Now we can just let it go. And I mean, we're all, I mean, you know, not totally amateur, but like amateur as in not professional investors here. But I mean, from my perspective, I'm looking at what's the easiest crypto here to stake with. Like, how do I get rewards from this? And there's no contest. Nobody comes close to being as easy to get rewards with as an algo coin. So like, from my perspective, I want to buy and hold and stop thinking about things. And that's only the algo that I've seen is as easy to get rewards from. And so as an amateur, I'm thinking not only is Algorand getting professional partnerships, they've got JP Morgan running a stable coin on their network. They've already got countries looking at their coin. But then even on the amateur side, like if you want to bring in 7% interest, that's a solid investment. Like in decades past, if you could count on a 7% return on, like count on a dependable 7% investment return, even if the value outside of that didn't grow like that, you're like, that's awesome. You know, that's a solid retirement return that you could depend on. So I have a hard time believing anything else can compete with algo long term, you know, in the 3 to 5 year window span. But maybe I'm missing something. I keep looking. It's like, what am I missing here? And maybe these other cryptocurrencies have partnerships I don't know about. Maybe they're kind of keeping things under wrap too. But here's the biggest thing I thought that was really interesting is that Algo also recently won the 2020 or 2021 Devi's conference. I don't know which year, but it just won it like this month, right? Like, and they're competing against all the other cryptocurrencies in terms of technology, and Algorand Foundation won it. I mean, it seems to me to be a really big deal. Is there any other competition where you're just straight up comparing technologies? I don't know. And they won the competition. So, you know, I'm excited, I guess. I'm already hyped up because I've been watching YouTube videos today. So I need someone to bring the air out of me a little bit. So
I was gonna double down on that, but Shane, were you gonna go first? I don't know if you have something.
I mean, after hearing all this, I'm kind of excited too. Although I do think that I agree that you're buying it with the plan to hold for a long time. Yeah. And I think it's longer than what some of you have suggested. I think, you know, we could be talking 10 years, could be 11 years. But, if you get in early at this price point, I mean, that's going to be worth a ton. That could be like, Bitcoin, like back in, early 2000s.
That's
right?
exactly what Jesse and I were talking about before you guys jumped on the call earlier, is that I wanted him to tell me a little bit about it, because looking at the price points today, it seems like for me, and I always look at it, I'm not really looking in the crypto market for how I can make big money, but how I can make long-term money. So when I think of it, I'm thinking of how is cryptocurrency going to change the infrastructure of finance and currency on the big scale. And so I'm thinking about where's the better infrastructure going to be, and all of Rich's points kind of indicate, and from what I've looked at, from the resources that I've got from Jesse and from the independent research I've done, I kind of, I'm trying to really look at infrastructure and see what's going to have the best combination of where the stability meets the blockchain technologies and all the different aspects of cryptocurrency. And looking at this price point right now for Algo, I mean, that's where I'm looking to put some money, I think, just personally, like Rich said, as an amateur. Oh, hi. As an amateur. Oh, probably can't hear, right?
Yeah.
Oops.
Well, yeah. It's okay. He's.
I'm talking to a child who can't hear me.
Yeah, that's okay.
I do that too, Guy. I'm talking to the belly just about every day now.
I'm continually talking to people who never hear me in the first place, so I'm used to it. But back to Algo. To me, that's what's exciting about it for me, is that I feel like there's a real big infrastructure push there. And when I look at not just the market of what are the cryptos doing themselves as individual coins, but what is going to happen and again, I agree with Shane. I don't think we're talking 1, 5, 10 years, and I've said this to you, Jesse, I think these revolutionary changes maybe 10, 20 years off. I think it's a little further down the road, but regardless, now, either way you look at it, today's the day to get in.
Yeah, if you're willing to hold for that long.
Right.
Like I think Rich mentioned that, I don't think you necessarily have to buy today.
Right.
Will you get the biggest returns today if you buy today? Yes.
Right.
Because there is still some risk. In my opinion, I don't like what Rich was saying is that, you're not worried about the new coins coming out in the future because they can't build that level of support. I don't know. Like, it's hard to tell, 15 years down in the future, like where we're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, algorithm is like, the best as far as like, as what you want from a coin. The way that I see it playing out, and who knows, this is the way that I see it. We're going to use Bitcoin for now. And then people are going to realize that, once people are comfortable with Bitcoin and it becomes, more of a normal thing, I think a lot of companies are going to buy into it to hold it instead of cash. But then once that moment comes and they kind of realize how inefficient Bitcoin is, then there's an opportunity for another one to come in. But I don't think that Bitcoin will ever go away, but it may be more like gold. It's just kind of
it's there, but it's not used daily.
Right, it's not used for like a daily transaction or whatever.
And I think that's interesting too. Seeing all these companies buy up Bitcoin, but that almost seems to me, in a sense, like a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction, because some of these companies, I feel like they're, for some of them, if it's part, certain people like, Elon Musk, he's probably thinking strategically and probably has a better understanding of it. But I would have to presume that not every CEO of every major corporation has an equal understanding, and that, at a certain point, certain people are doing what is being done. They're following the leader. So I almost wonder if every company putting a measurable percentage of their assets into Bitcoin, I wonder what that's going to play out in the future. I mean, I'm not saying anything against it for or against, but it's just interesting to me seeing these patterns emerge. It'll be very interesting to see what happens as time progresses. Like Shane said, we can't predict it really.
Yeah, I don't know if you all heard this, but like the city of Miami allows you to pay your property taxes in Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that.
Paying their workers in Bitcoin as well, if they choose. So, you're seeing adoption even at the local government level. And then, you have Tesla buying in and potentially others. And so like, I was looking at, when I talked to Jesse about Bitcoin, maybe a couple months ago, I was like, yeah, I'll put like 2.5% of my portfolio in it. It's like, it sounds like a good place to be. But now, like with all of these things that I'm reading about, like, I'm a big fan of ARK Invest. So I've been following a lot of their stuff. Let's see if I have it available here.
Is that the ARK ETF?
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of those guys. Huge.
Oh, Kathy Wood is so good. Even if like you just want to learn something, just listen to some of her videos. She does a really good analysis on. She's into like finding those disruptive companies and stuff like that. And she's really into. She's a big fan of cryptocurrency too. And so this is one of her employees. He said that a 10% cash allocation by S&P 500 companies into Bitcoin would have a $400,000 impact on price.
So the coins would go to $450,000. Is that what that means?
Yeah, this was posted a week ago, so it gained like 5,000 since then.
Right.
Like I guess they would say if again, you would have to have all S&P 500 companies hold 10% of their assets in Bitcoin. That's not going to happen this year. Like that may not ever happen. But if it did, like we're looking at a $400,000 price point for Bitcoin. So, that got me really excited about it.
Yeah, I think the strategy with Bitcoin is you buy into a position and you do not let go. So it doesn't matter what the price falls down to. If you cash out, then of course you're going to lose your money. But if you do not cash out, then the next time that there's a halving, it's going to go through its cycle. It has the same predictable cycle every single halving. And so you just wait that out, even if you've bought in at the wrong time. Rich, I hope you saved those $20,000 coins that you bought in 2017.
Oh, okay. I didn't buy a full coin there. So to be clear, I was like a tenth of a coin. So
still a lot of money. $2,000 back then. That's still a tenth of a coin is no joke. That's good money.
Yeah, I mean, I still own some Bitcoin now, so it's not like I lose that. Like I'm probably slightly above where I invested it in at the time, just because I burned some of it like an idiot. But I don't like owning an asset like Bitcoin. This is my personal preference. This has nothing to do with how intelligent it is to invest it or not. But I don't like Bitcoin. It makes me feel bad about myself. I want it. Like even the ETFs I own, I'm looking at like if it just gives me like 1% or 0.5% dividend, like I feel like I'm growing the base on top of the increase in value, and I feel a little bit better about that. So with Bitcoin, it's like you have to sell to get anything out of it. It just makes me really nervous to own an asset like that. I don't like it. So to other people, now I'm a high anxiety individual. So, other people who are just, they can make buttloads of money without my inhibitions. That's good for them. But I was considering, like I was going back and forth, like, do I just want to liquidate the rest of my Bitcoin and just move it into the coins I really like that pay something? And right now I'm deciding no, like I'm forcing myself to maintain a diversification of crypto. So, but I don't like it. I'm not happy about it.
I own Bitcoin too, Rich. I do have some Bitcoin, and I feel exactly the same way as you. Everything you just said, I have exactly the same quirks. But I am going to agree with what Shane and what Guy were saying, which is that I think this is the year of Bitcoin, and then maybe next year will be the year of Ethereum. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to transition to 2.0, and I don't think they really know how long it's going to take either, because it's harder to transition a network that has that much traffic and that much responsibility on it, and you have to switch that over and completely it's like you're rewriting the DNA of this thing.
And Guy, I know you were about to say something, but I before I forget this, something else about Ethereum that I find really interesting. I don't know if this is going to be true for Ethereum 2.0 or not, but with Ethereum as it is now, in order to develop on it, you have to learn their specific code. I can't even remember what their development platform is called, but there's a name for it. Like you can't develop anything on Ethereum with like JavaScript or what. I don't know. I'm not a developer. I don't know all the different languages the computer programmers use, but there's just like one specific for Ethereum, and you have to use the Ethereum specific one. But if you go to Algorand, for instance, they have, I don't know, they support nearly everything. Like anything that computer programmers are already good at, they can just develop something and plug and play, ready to go. To me, that seems like a huge advantage too. Now, I don't know if the other networks, maybe there's some other ones that do that. I have no idea. I'm still sort of in the preliminary research stage, but That's another big deal to me. So
Throwing an arrow blindly at a dartboard, I would probably say, and I don't know, I know one of the benefits of Algorand is that it's like open resource, and that's supposed to be one of the great benefits of it too. I don't know, are these other hosts and whatnot, are they like that? Are those networks like that? And if not, that's probably why they have such tight restrictions on how the mining and how the blockchain technology all specifically is done. I'm not a computer programmer either, so I don't know the deep underpinnings of how all of that works. But maybe I'm thinking that has something to do with it. And I know we're kind of on Ethereum now, but I wanted to go back and ask a question about Bitcoin, because it's been going up pretty steadily for the last, I don't know, several months in a sense. My question is it going to crash at some point? Do we see it going down?
that's a great question.
I don't think so, because I think you're going to start seeing more companies buy into it. Before, it was just more of like retail, like individual people buying Bitcoin, when it surged up to that 20,000 and then had that huge crash.
Right.
But I think that if more and more companies buy in, they're holding because they don't want to hold cash. So I don't think that you're going to see, as much. It still definitely would be volatile, but
Right.
I don't think you're going to see the crazy volatility that of the past.
I agree with that. I'm not as optimistic about its growth as I think other people are, but I am also not pessimistic about it either. I don't see it crashing for exactly that reason. I mean, like Elon Musk and Tesla, they own, I don't know how many coins. There's like 40,000 coins or something like that. Like that, as far as I can tell, he's no intention of selling it. And then all these
Right.
other guys are following suit. They have no intention of selling it either. They're buying it for the purpose of holding it.
Right.
So I don't see a mass sell-off happening there where you have all these huge institutional players just holding on to it as a hedge. I don't see it. I think it could crash a little bit. But I think on the inverse, how much growth are you going to see on that? That just depends on what Shane's talking about. I have no idea. But I'm not super optimistic. I see it kind of getting to 100K and then sort of going back around between 50 and 100. But I don't know. It's something that expensive. I certainly won't buy any more of it. But again, this is my own investor preference, and that's not necessarily the smart thing to do. So it's just, I just don't. That's it.
Well, I was going to say something very similar. I'm pretty conservative with the investments I make, and I have a propensity to lean more towards, more traditional investments. So I have been very cautious stepping into cryptocurrency and not putting large percentages of what investments I have over there. Now, obviously, I'm trying to do the research and look into it because I do feel like it's the future. So I want to move a little bit, at least in that direction. But, I've been very, before also I was saying I do have a little bit of Dogecoin. I just bought that for fun because I thought it was fun. But, before making like actual strategic investments, like, okay, I want to go with this and I want to go with this, amount and diversify a little bit into the crypto market. I'm trying to I'm just a naturally trepidatious person. So I'm with you in that sense that, I'm, even anxious just thinking about it. When Jesse said we're talking about cryptos today, I was like, oh, it made me a little nervous.
Can I just say to anyone who, and I've had a conversation with a couple people who are like, they're kind of ready to invest and thinking about the FOMO and crypto has sort of triggered an investment. And I tell them, like, if this is your first investment, you need to just stop thinking about crypto and you need to look at automatically diversified ETFs just right off the bat.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling kind of froggy, like if you're like, I want sort of a riskier investment, I tell them ARK is like, that's the golden standard for me. I love ARK. And like it started out being a smaller percentage of my portfolio. And then in the last year, it's grown so much. It's like now a significant fraction of my entire investment portfolio. And I love their strategy there. The only thing about ARK is that it's actively managed. So who knows? I'm always suspicious that some idiot's going to step up in charge of an actively managed fund in 5 to 10 years and they just ruin everything. But I mean, who knows? These guys are the ones at the forefront of technology. Maybe they've got
Right.
maybe in 10 years they'll have the first self-aware computer running that shit. I don't know. But anyway, totally off topic. I sidetracked
Well,
myself.
I was going to say the computer is going to try and take our money. That's
at that point we'll probably be in the middle of an apocalypse anyway.
Yeah,
so
I guess it won't matter.
but anyway, like if people are nervous about, I think this is where my mind was going. If people are nervous about investing in crypto directly, I would point them at ARK. ARK is the thing I would point them towards, just because like they're crypto positive. So not like the STI crypto positive, but like they're
crypto
supportive. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's I would tell people like crypto, be careful unless you've spent some time researching it. So
yeah. Yeah, I think that would be good advice too, to put another disclaimer there in the middle of this podcast for anyone jumping in, perhaps. But that, another thing is, I would say, and we talked about this before too, if you're just starting in the investment world, you want to make sure you have like, IRA set up. You want to have a diversified portfolio. You shouldn't run and jump all of your, I'm going to invest $5,000 in this one cryptocurrency, So I hope that no one's getting the sense about doing that. But I just, even to put like $1,000 or $500, I'm still trying to be like super careful and execute it. I don't know what words I'm saying. I'm trying to be very deliberate with my actions.
Yeah, I have to ask myself, like, okay, what will avoid making my wife really angry at me? That's
So I used to ask that question, and then I
wait, now you don't care anymore?
Yeah, no, I really don't. I started making so much money on my account. Like, as I just saw the numbers going up and the percentage increases, I'm like, you know what? She can get as angry at me as she wants. I'm taking some chances. Daddy's rolling the dice. And so where I'm at right now is I want to diversify my portfolio a great deal more than what I already have. And I think I think you guys have kind of gotten my mind around to where I know that ALGO is going to be a fantastic long range play, but this year there's going to be a chance to do a lot of bull run activities that I won't necessarily have the chance on. So I'm going to start to move less of it into ALGO going forward and put more into some of the speculative stuff. What I want to do is, find those coins that are 1 penny, find those coins that are at half a penny, and those new projects, get in before everybody else does. And, just put $100 in each one of them, because maybe 10 of those will fall apart and just end up being nothing, but one of them is going to 50x. And that's going to be the way that I'm not really going to move around the stuff I already have, but that going forward, that's how I'm going to start playing this, is just going with some of the more exotic coins. And actually I just became Facebook friends with somebody. Facebook's good with these recommendations. Once you get into something, they're like, oh, we know people in that. So recommended.
Got to be careful, Jesse, that Mark Zuckerberg's not trying to direct your financials.
Yeah, that is a question mark for sure. But I see some of his posts and some of the stuff that he's invested in, and like 2 or 3 years later, it's like up, 30,000% or something. It's like, it's crazy. You know what I mean? And I know not every coin's going to hit that way. And he's like, guys, I told you about this coin. Like these are the kind of things that, I got to start learning about, because $100 in something like that is going to be life-changing results, and it's less risky than putting 100 on red. You know what I mean? Like,
is it though?
It is because there, the expected value of losing all your money, we could run out the numbers, but the mean is going to be a lot higher for these crypto investments than it is for a casino. So, that's why I'm willing to take those risks, not necessarily with large amounts, because I can't bet the farm on one single coin. But if I try out 10 coins like that are really speculative, put $100 in, and just see where they end up in 1 or 2 years, I think that's a winning strategy.
Maybe I have to say, if I don't have the whole bunch of extra cash to do that with, but if I did, I don't know. Like I could see getting speculative with a handful of coins, but at some point you know, you could start losing out on some more serious long-term gains by sort of diluting, you know, the cash you're going to play with, because the cash you're playing with is always going to be scarce to some degree. And you know, I also want to say, like, even though Algo is a long-term coin, the rumors I'm getting and the insinuations I'm getting and the tone I'm picking up, not just from the Algorand Foundation, but from some interviews and people talking about it who are doing more research than me, I'm getting the sense that they will be making a big announcement at some point in Q2 this year, and there could be a doubling that would occur at that point. Now, maybe there will be a pullback. Maybe that won't actually happen. This is sort of speculation on my part, but I'm getting the sense that Q2 will be a moving point for Algo. So, like, I think a conservative estimate for what Algo will end the year on is a doubling, and I think it's possible that it's going to be around $5 a coin. So, you know, that's triple, 3 to 4 times what it's worth now. And I after it starts going up, I don't see it coming back down to what it is now ever, unless there's a market-wide crash, in which case no crypto is going up. It's all coming down, kind of like what happened between 2017 and 2020. So I mean, obviously, I wouldn't tell anyone not to diversify. Like, that's obviously a good thing to do. But
well, I think the difference here, where I'm looking at it, and you say it's better than putting $100 on red. Probabilistically, if you play a game of roulette and you lose, you lose. So there's an expected value on one game, doesn't look too good. But if you look at the market trend on all the cryptos overall, there's, I think, more wins, probably is a better way to describe it, than if you sit all day at a roulette table. You know, so I think from my perspective is, how can I have the look for some of the gains that you might incur by finding these little hidden gems versus the long-term gains by, I guess, maybe looking at it from more of an infrastructure standpoint and a long-term, how is this going to play out standpoint. That's where I'm personally stuck. So when I hear Rich say things like, you know, looking at Algorand and looking at the long term of it, and then I hear you say something, Jesse, like, you know, looking for the little penny coins that, you know, will hopefully, to me, those are almost like, obviously they can coexist, they're not mutually exclusive, but in my mind, that's the cognitive dissonance, right? So in this cryptocurrency game, should I be searching for the next big thing, or should I be looking more for the long term? And personally, and again, like Rich said a bunch of times, and like we've all said, it's a personal preference, but I think that's where I fall for, is more on the long-term gains. Find a company or a foundation or organization that is going to be a big player in the long term. And I mean, obviously, Bitcoin's really good evidence of that. They have the luck also of being the first, you know, crypto on the market. So, I mean, you can look back at their data from 2009 and it's gone nowheres but up. That's not as to say that every coin will do that. But, you know, I think overall, that's where I'm going to sit. Where can I see that 10-year graph look? I don't know that I can spend that much energy personally looking for the next, you know, what is the next coin that's going to be in everybody's pocket per se. But, you know, that's just me. But that's fighting in my head right now between long-term, short-term. What's the best course of action?
I just hate deciding when to sell. I can't stand it. It drives me nuts. So if I'm putting money in something, it better not require a decision to sell. That's like my one requirement. I don't want to think about that.
I was just having a discussion with my grandfather. He invested in a company called 3D, and their stock ticker is like DDD, and they are 3D printing technology, and he bought them when they were like really infantile, and they, you know, maybe like $5 a share, and they're up to like 40 something, and he sold, and then it dipped down because, you know, it looked like it was going down, but now it's back up, so he's pissed that he put in a sell order. So it's just kind of funny that, you know, that's another risk in the market too. I mean, you know, with pulling that trigger, you sell and you think you're doing, you know, I'm getting out, and then you can turn around and then it's like, okay, that was actually a bad choice. So.
I don't own individual stocks for that exact reason. So yeah. I don't like it.
Yeah, I really like the ideas of the EFTs. Those
the ETFs. Yeah, ETFs,
me too. Sorry. I always say EFT because of like credit card machines.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably some really good crypto ETFs. I haven't looked too hard at them, but I'm sure like
Yeah.
that would be a solid investment. I think.
See, I think you don't need to worry about something. So I guess it depends on your investment style or strategy.
Mhm.
But I think if you find those, either whether it be stocks or crypto or whatever, but if you believe in their future and you like the the foundation that they're on and the direction that they're going, you don't worry about the price changing every day.
Mhm.
Like you just hold. Like, with GameStop, that was a different story because you
Yeah.
were in there for one specific reason, to squeeze the hedge funds, right? And so once the squeeze has been squeezed, then that's when you get out, right? So
Yeah.
but this is not what we're doing here. We're investing for a long-term play like Algo. Like, you just buy it and you check on it like 10 years later.
Yeah.
Like you don't worry about the price fluctuations every day. If you think that's going to be the next one, now some news comes out and that changes like the whole dynamic and everything, then you think about selling, right? But with that type of investment, I think you just buy it and you just hold.
Yeah.
You don't worry about the price. You don't worry about it trying to sell at the top and buy the dips. You just buy.
People
buy
have
and
been
hold.
trying to tell me not to worry about things for the last 20 years, and so far it hasn't worked.
I actually had some 40-cent algos, and
Really?
Oh no.
yeah, and because of trying to buy the dips and sell the peaks, I ended up missing out. I don't get me wrong, I'm not going to complain. I still did great over these past couple months, so I can't really cry about it. And
Right.
some of the coins that I did pick and move my algo out of in order to get those coins, some of them even doubled. So it was good, but it wasn't like triple, quadruple. Like that would be nice. So Algo has already made some really big moves in the past couple months in terms of its price. I think it's poised to make another doubling or tripling. I do agree with you on that, Rich. And I definitely have no intention of moving the algos that I already have out of that, because I can't miss out on it again. It's just too sweet, right?
Jesse, let
It's
me ask you with algos, because I don't
Yeah.
really understand how the reward system is based. Like I can't tell. I mean, I know it's not fixed, but I'm not sure to expect like an up or down change in the reward system. So do you know more about this? Because I can't figure it out.
I think it I don't want to say anything for sure, because I don't really know for sure either. I think that you have to like if you have the app on your phone, or if you downloaded the app, then I think you have to do transactions in order to get the compounding to occur. And I think Coinbase just does that automatically and sends it to your account. Beyond that, I don't know if they have any way of changing what the reward structure is, or when that would happen, or how that could happen. I don't really know enough detail about that. But yeah, that's definitely something to look into. Also something to look into, and I'm going to say this because I want to remember it. And so if I say it, there's a better chance. I want to know what's going to happen for transactions once the and what's going to happen for staking fees once the 10 billion coins have all been minted, distributed, everything's out there. Because actually, I think it's already been minted, but they haven't been distributed. And so what happens? I don't know how they're going to continue to be able to give staking rewards once that occurs. So I am really curious about that, and that's something that I have to ask the community, because they have a really active community. I like their community a lot. I've sort of dipped my toe in there, and I should mention the success I've had with my writing. In between the last episode that we had and this episode, I wrote an article about Algorand. And usually one of my Medium articles will get about 50 reads, and I'm happy for that 50 reads. That's fantastic. I'm excited that people will take the time to do that. And Rich, you always read those. I appreciate that. And but it's pretty much stayed at that level. Well, with this Algorand article that I wrote, I got 1,600 views in the course of like 2 days. And so one, I know that there's a lot of interest there, and two, I think some of it came from the Algorand community when I posted in there. and some of it came from I posted on Andrew Yang's page as well. So
I saw your post there.
Yeah, maybe that was it too.
You know,
But
I'm
Hey,
also
if you
wondering.
want to,
I was just gonna say, I'm wondering if the algorithms within Medium also show that story to more people if it's a buzz topic. You
Yeah.
know, like cryptocurrency is hot right now,
Right.
so their algorithm is putting that article higher in people's feeds.
That definitely does it. Absolutely, that definitely does it. So I'm gonna continue to be talking about this. Yeah.
if you want a good topic to research that would help me out because I'm lazy, is for your next article is look at the top 5 proof of stake coins. And I mean, if you don't do this, I'm going to.
I was gonna say, Rich is giving you his dirty work to do. Jesse, do this research for me.
Yeah. Hey, but he gets the profit off of the. This is a good idea.
That's true.
He'll get the profit off of the work. So
Right.
so
it'll be mutually beneficial. Yeah.
consolation
Okay.
prize. Yeah, but I mean, I think it's important from an amateur's perspective, like, because that's how you determine adoption rates of these coins. Is what is the amateur's perspective of this? I think professionals kind of discount that quite a bit. And I was reading like this super long debate between like the a couple of the proof of stake coins, like Algorand and then Stellar and XRP, a couple of those, and it was just, I couldn't even read what they were saying. It was a totally different language. So, you know, like I was trying to get gist of stuff, but most of it was over my head. But from an amateur's perspective, like, what are the top 5 proof of stake coins? Who's got the most partnerships? Who's got the most momentum in partnerships? Who's got the most countries that are looking at stable coins on these things? You know, like that, to me, that's a really big deal. I don't know how else you would really measure future growth rate. Like, there's some basic things like social media interest can help, but that's not long term, that's short term. So you know, that would be interesting to me. But another thing I was like, it's such a big deal to me. I don't know how this isn't a bigger topic on the internet, but when I'm looking at staking and rewards, like, there is no other cryptocurrency on the market right now that you can just put it in your wallet and you just start collecting rewards off of. Because I was reading, I don't remember if it was Stellar or if it was something else. Like, in order to stake on those coins, you have to like assign a node preference, and you have to come back and modify how you're assigning nodes. Like, I don't even, honestly, not even entirely sure what the word node means in these contexts. And if I don't, someone who's technologically literate, just most people are going to have no clue how to collect rewards on that. So the idea that, like, with algo coins, you just literally sit on them, nothing else is required. I think that's an understated benefit of the coin long term that most people probably haven't taken into account yet. So
what do? Do they give you more coins? Is that how that works?
Yeah. And in fact, well, they give you more coins than any of the other opportunities in Coinbase.
Yeah, I saw that.
At least in Coinbase, it is the best payout, and it's automatic. Like Rich said, I agree. That is such a key feature, and the fact that Coinbase has it so prominent, like, when you're getting, you know, your eye is pretty much, the whole right side of the screen is dominated by those numbers changing and showing you how much your staking rewards have accumulated to. And psychologically, that just draws you to algo like a magnet. That's what it did to me. That's what it's going to do to every other user too. And I agree with you, Rich, that the developers and all these techies that are so preoccupied with giving people options and giving people freedom and all that, I don't want that. I want simplicity.
And predictability. Like, you can predict when I pull up my Algorand wallet, and like, I can tell exactly how many new coins I'm going to have on a day-to-day basis. Like, that's huge to me. I really don't give a shit what the market's doing on a day-to-day basis. Like, if I can count on my numbers going up at a mathematically predictable rate, that's a really big deal to my brain. So that makes algos addictive to me, like literally addictive. I can just, if I buy more, then my numbers go faster. Like, that's, you know, that's like I'm getting my my endorphin hit right there, right into my vein, just mainlining it. So that's
there's going to be a point at which, and it could be a while, but there's going to be a point at which I'm making another algo every single day.
So,
right?
Well, I've spent days doing some math on this. I'm like, all right, wait a second. Like, I need, like, it's slightly over 5,000 coins will net you a coin a day. And then if I want to retire cheaply somewhere, then I need the value of the coin to be, I don't know, like what? Like I could probably live off of $100 a day, no problem, assuming the place where I lived was debt free and I wasn't having to make a mortgage or a rent payment. $100 a day, I'm hyper comfortable. So I'm thinking, wait a second, if I just owned 5,200 coins, and the value of the coin in 15 years is $100 coin, like I'm set. And I don't even have to think about anything else, you know? So like, and I can't do that kind of math with any other coin. And so I'm surprised more people aren't doing the same calculation I am. Maybe they just are going to, or maybe there's downsides I haven't thought of yet. That's entirely possible, you know, but.
I think people just haven't heard of ALGO. I think unless they know me and how much I've been rambling about this coin to everybody that I know.
Yeah.
I think in the mainstream, I'd say there's a large percentage of people that are, you know, so unaware of what's going on with cryptocurrencies, much less the specifics of which ones are the best. You know, I mean, again, Jesse's right. If it wasn't for Jesse, I'd be much later to the game than I already am. I'd be well aware of it, but I'd have no investments in any coins at all already, you know? So
well, those rewards might disappear at some point. Like what you were
Right.
saying, you get closer to the max, maybe they don't want to hand out the rewards. You know, so that it probably can't rely. It's not like I'm relying on that for my retirement plan,
Right.
but it makes me giddy to think about. So that's the important thing.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, if they lowered the payout to be, you know, over time, if it was like, you know, 5%, 4%, and so on, as you get closer and closer to that top edge, you know, of getting to the 10 billion, that would actually make sense, and that would be realistic. But here we are at the beginning phase of this, and yeah, I mean, Rich, I have that same addictive endorphin rush when I'm watching those coins go up, and my other coins are, however many I bought, that's how many I bought, and I can't get more. And I'm maxed out. My resources are maxed out. But the fact that I put my coins into ALGO, so many of them into ALGO, it's still generating more. And so I'm going to be able, if I wanted to, I could switch those into other coins but I don't want to, right? I wanted to keep generating more coins. And so, so that's why, you know, I was going to just basically put every dollar I had into ALGOs, you know, every extra investment dollar, not like, I'm not talking about my retirement. I didn't mean it came out wrong.
Selling my house. Yeah.
came out wrong. But yeah, the plan was going to be to just do that. But I'm going to do the diversified junk coins, basically. Like a lot of them are going to be junk, really speculative. And if I just get a couple big wins out of that, I can put those wins into ALGO. And so that's but I'm not going to move the ones I already have. What I have in there, it's still going to keep generating. And it's still, every time I look in there, you know, if one of my other coins collapsed, I can still look in that and be like, well, everything's okay.
So you're doing Doge coins too?
No Doge coins for me. No.
Okay.
The lack of scarcity, for anybody who's listening to this and wondering why I am down on Dogecoin, it's because there is an infinite number potentially that can be produced. It does not have the kind of scarcity that Algorand or Bitcoin has.
So now Dogecoins, although there is no limit, correct me if I'm wrong, that the rate of growth of the new coins is still limited by.
And actually they're releasing corrections to the algorithm. I speculate that they will continue to slow down. And also, if they're less popular, they will be mined less frequently. I have 3,000 Dogecoin on the whim, hoping that it gets Reddit / Elon Musk boost, and I can just make a quick buck. But otherwise, I assume I've thrown that $100 away. But yeah, I mean, that the mining should curve off eventually. There's not real finite scarcity, but I mean, it'll bend off a little bit.
The mining of coins I just hate it. Like it just rubs me the wrong way.
That's what I was reading about before we started this podcast, because my brother, he just bought a new computer, so we have 2 extra towers, and we're talking about setting them up to see if we can do some mining. So that's going to be fun. Yeah,
that's like, I don't begrudge anyone for making money off of it, but it's just the concept of just like you're just burning electricity just to to get something that only has value because other people are also burning electricity to do it.
Well, but that's been the history of economics since the
that's
sun
true.
has been around. I mean,
so like in principle, I don't have any problem with people getting value however they can give value.
Right.
Like I really don't. But like just on a larger scale, I just hate it. I feel the same way about gold. This isn't
Right.
anything specific to digital currencies. I
Right,
hate
right.
gold too. I think gold is stupid. But so like
so
I think it's pretty.
beautiful mountains
That's
to pull- strip mining beautiful mountains to pull yellow metal out and stick
Exactly.
it in a warehouse somewhere. That's not a good idea, Rich.
no, but if you gave me a bar of gold, I would happily accept it. So don't get me wrong about doing what's best for you in any given situation. It's just,
It just seems like a weird thing to do. Only
Yes.
humans would do something.
only
that
humans
weird.
would do something like that.
Right.
I mean,
When
but
you
that-
stand back and put it that way, it is very stupid sounding.
The problem with Bitcoin specifically is you have like in China, some ridiculous percentage of all Bitcoin mining is happening off of these like institutional server farms right next to the
Right.
Uyghur concentration camps, and they're just like burning these huge coal plants, just poisoning everyone with coal while they're just mining Bitcoin. Again, they're behaving rationally. Like, don't get me. And
Right.
people who own Bitcoin are also behaving rationally. It just hurts my head to think about all of this happening at the same time. So
Yeah, sometimes there's a real perversion to rationality if the incentive structure is wrong, and I think they did get the
Yeah.
incentive structure of Bitcoin wrong.
Well, and it's also interesting
Yeah.
to think about the long term too. Sorry to cut you off there, Shane, but I mean, what if we have a lot of these coins, and like I'm talking like 100 years in the future, and our economy is completely different than what we think of it today. But what happens? I mean, at a certain point, there won't be a need. I mean, eventually, just like coal mining itself in real life, like coal for energy production and oil, like eventually we won't do that anymore. Eventually, cryptocurrencies won't be, I don't know, something will have to change. Eventually it won't be an issue. It's
Well,
just weird.
there are two, technologically speaking, there are two ultimate game changers. The first one is human level artificial intelligence, and the
Right.
second one is programmable matter. And when you can literally take a sentient artificial intelligence and then like modify molecular structure and just change gold to lead and lead to gold, like
Right.
all of this stuff starts becoming silly. I'm not going to pretend like I can identify what point that is going to be, but there's nothing in the laws of physics that prevents either of those two things from happening. So, like if you're I think I actually think it's impossible to look 100 years in the future. Like I think it's literally impossible. I think the word singularity, where we're talking about sort of level of technological advancement that we cannot see past, I think that is a great way to describe, like there's an event horizon somewhere. So I think cryptocurrencies are a 20-year investment, and I think beyond that, but just like fiat, just like any current, just like gold is. It's like at some point all of it breaks down and we can't see what's happening beyond 20 years from now. So that's
well, we can't accurately see, but we can definitely make it up. And so
That we
Yeah.
can do.
that won't stop me from just making shit up. Nothing stops me from making shit up. That's true.
and that's why I'm gonna write a book at some point about a floating island that cleans up the garbage in the oceans. It's gonna be run by Captain Casada.
Yes.
So that is the plan, and I'm gonna make it 100 years in the future just because I can.
That's fine. As long as I get my own super sweet yacht that I can like live on.
He said
That's my
there was a
goal.
pause before he said, "Yeah, that's fine."
That's fine.
That was very interesting there.
At some point I had to just come to terms with the fact that not everyone's on my level, but that's okay.
No, I see what you're saying though, and I really do think that you're right in the sense that the future is evolving so quickly and in such unpredictable directions that it is going to be pretty impossible for us to even imagine what it could be like. And the only thing we know is that human nature seems to be a lot more constant than our technological advance.
But even that, I'm a huge fan of what Elon Musk is doing with his Neuralink, and there's a Neuralace, which is a competitor to him. And I think kind of like Algorand, if I can sort of arbitrarily loop this back to what we were talking about, I think these are technologies that most people they can't understand them really. I mean, like the average person, it's just beyond. But these things, human nature has been constant, but I don't think that's a truism going forward. I really don't. I think like, yeah, I mean, in some ways, we're all cyborgs right now with our cell phones. We're already outsourcing some percentage of our thinking to the web, and I think once we can just direct link that via USB port straight into our brains, shit changes. I don't think it's going to be the same. I don't think human nature is going to be the same. I don't think we're even going to be humans by any measurable. There's going to be like an Amish community, right? There's like that. It's going to be some significant percentage of the total human population, but it'll be like the zoo that the rest of us sort of look at.
Oh man, yeah.
So
I can't even imagine a world where you have a conversation with somebody without even speaking words. And like, that was something Elon was talking about with Neuralink, is that you'd be able to exchange thoughts much quicker than with our mouths, because that's.
So wait, I don't keep up with all of Musk's predictions, but he's basically saying we're going to become the Borg, because that's basically the Borg.
In a way, he actually gave a great example there. It's like, because essentially right now we're communicating via one word at a time, and there's a bandwidth issue there. That's like, I don't know, however many bytes you would call a word. It's like 6 bytes or 7 bytes, and that's right now we're downloading information to each other at like 60 bytes, 100 bytes a minute. That's nothing. That's trivial. That's pennies. So at some point when you can speed that up, and you can a little bit, like the internet allows us to speed that up a little bit already. But if the 5 of us, I had to count how many we were because I had a drink already. If the 5 of us were communicating
there's only 4 of us here.
4 of us. Okay, thank you. I counted myself twice. That's how. But if the 5 of us were communicating via a megabit, gigabit, whatever you keep going with that, like, who are these assholes wasting their time communicating at a couple bytes a second? That's ridiculous. So
it is ridiculous.
I finally got faster upload and download speeds on my cable. My modem is. We've been paying for it forever, and finally I'm up there. But yeah. Rich, it's amazing we've gotten as far as we have, with such slow upload and download speed.
You mean without everyone killing each other?
Without everybody. I mean, we've gotten close. We've tried many times, right? But yeah, we've gotten close. But yeah, it's amazing that we've managed to get anywhere. And yeah, it's a pretty exciting time being able to link all this stuff together, for sure.
I think the cryptocurrency and the decentralized network, I think these are kind of where you can piggyback some of these other technologies onto. I mean, you're talking about Neuralink and things like that. The problem with a centralized internet is that it's not secure. But if you could run a Neuralink on like an Algorand type network, potentially you could have a lot of security on that where you could not have before. So, there's really exciting prospects there, hopefully.
Yeah.
And not some kind of dystopian nightmare.
a brain point. Yeah. So it'll pay you for it'll penny for your thoughts. Right?
Literally, yeah.
Yeah, another application of the blockchain technology. I don't know if you guys have been following like the GameStop. I'm all about the GameStop. That's all I talk about. But no,
are you still holding? Are you the one holding like 2,000 shares of GameStop right now?
I actually bought some recently though. I bought 15 as a long-term play. I bought 15 shares as a long-term play. We'll see. The DFV just bought 45,000 shares yesterday while he was at that congressional meeting. So I don't know how much you guys followed the congressional meeting.
Of course he did.
Okay. He was awesome. Like he at first he led off with, first off, I'm not a cat. Like, so I don't know if you guys saw that.
I saw the memes about it. Was that real? I didn't know that actually happened though.
Yeah, well, it came from that whole court thing where like the lawyer couldn't figure out how to get his weird looking cat off of his screen or whatever.
The single best video to ever come out of the internet, by the way. That's what I think.
And then the lawyer's like trying to ensure the judge that he's not really a cat. He was being serious. But anyways, at the congressional meeting, one thing they were talking about is that they want to move from T+2 settlement to T at like instantaneously. right? And so what they were saying is the way that you would have to do that is you have to implement like blockchain technology. And so that I feel like is even more good news for crypto, because we're just going to have to embrace it. And so, but another thing that they mentioned is that it's going to take 2 or more years to be able to actually implement that into the financial markets. So I feel like that just kind of shows like how slow moving our financial markets go.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why, even though like I feel like there at some point Bitcoin, it won't be about Bitcoin anymore. I think it's going to be longer than you think, just because of how slow everybody is. Like you probably wonder like why would we waste our time with Bitcoin when you have like this much better product that we could be using? But I think the problem is that society is slow. We're slow for everything, right? Whether it be like societal things, equality, all of that stuff. Everything just moves really slow.
Well, that's why I was saying earlier, right? For me, it's all about infrastructure and the long term, what's going to be the best path forward. And, I think that also goes to what Rich was saying about human behavior. It's different. I think we're at a zoomed in part on the graph and we can't see the upward trend, but hopefully it's upward trend, I guess I would say, hopefully. But yeah, I think it's definitely interesting to see over time how this plays out.
I was humbled during the Andrew Yang candidacy to realize just how far things have to go and just how long it takes for adoption to take place. I think this time he'll probably win mayor of New York.
I think he's looking.
I think so
good.
too.
Yeah, but it does take a while for things to get traction, and so yeah, I agree. It is slower than you think it should be, or slower than you would think that it might be, but yeah, I mean, Algorand, I know that it will get adoption because everybody that I talk to, especially the people like, that I count on to be a little bit contrarian and push back against me if I'm wrong about something, like Rich. And so I talked to them about it, and next thing I know, like, they're bigger into it than I am. So it's like,
I'm looking to be proved wrong about Algorand. Like,
Me
I honestly
too.
am.
Me too. I'm exactly the same way. And so it's sort of it's a lot of confirmation bias to hear from you that this is a good thing. And so I'm counting on Brian, I'm counting on all these other people to tell me this is a terrible idea, and but he doesn't know enough about it yet to disprove me, but I'm sure he's working on it. So
I think that's the biggest knock against Algorand, is that there's clearly a controlled inflation going on from the top, from the Algorand Foundation, because they're holding on a whole bunch of coins that they bought back from their initial release. So like, they're sitting on a ton. So they are deliberately, now they can't control the fall, but they can control the climb. And so I keep looking at the total amount of coin circulation, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but it looks like it's slowly increasing. So I think that its price stability right now is deliberate on their part, but that's not going to be that way for very long. So I think that's the biggest question about Algorand, is when and why are they controlling their release of new coins into the market. So, but I mean, technologically speaking, that's what I'm trying to be proved wrong about. And I thought I was proved wrong when I was looking at Cardano, because they have a really interesting early adopter from a company who's launched SingularityNet, which I've been following for a while, and I'm a huge fan of the guys who are running that. They're putting their stuff on Cardano, the ADA, not the coin, but the Cardano network. So that was really interesting. But then I was reading about the limitations of Cardano, and I'm really not. No country is going to put their coin on Cardano. So I think Stellar and another coin, the CeeLo organization. That's another one. I'm just listening to the description of the technology. It sounds identical to what Algorand is doing, and they even have their own stable coin that they've launched on their network. So, so those are the ones I'm really curious about, and I'm trying to figure out, like, are they going to get traction and Algorand's not? Because you always have to be looking for something like that. So, but yeah, I'm still in the process of trying to be proved wrong. So. We'll see.
I'm going to do a lot more research between now and next week, and I'm going to be releasing a beginner's guide about how to get involved in crypto. So if nothing of what we were talking about made sense to you and you want to know more about this stuff, I'm going to work on a guide that's going to sort of ease you into all this stuff. And hopefully you can watch this episode again. And maybe I should have said that at the start, but
oops.
I'll put a little like intro into it. Watch this first, Yeah, no, this has been a great talk. I think we're coming up on a good wrap up spot, and but I'm gonna put it to you guys first. Is there any last word you guys want to put in there?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like after this, I'm probably gonna put a little bit in Algo. I'm not gonna go crazy. I do think it's really early, but you know, if it'll start earning me some more coins, that sounds pretty cool.
I think Shane's right on the money, no pun intended. But I think in terms of a long-term investment, put something in it now. Don't look at it for a long time. Just let it sit there. If Algo is going to be a big player in the infrastructure of what's going on with this cryptocurrency technology, and that's something I'm looking into. So maybe one of the next times we talk, I'll know more about the backside technology. But that's where I'm sitting, and that's what I'm looking at. So I'm glad I learned a lot about Algo today, because that's what I was looking into, but I wanted someone else to basically tell me all the information so I didn't have to read and watch videos.
I do like to support laziness whenever possible. I like to think of it as efficiency. So.
Oh shoot, that's probably actually opposite of the intention here. Oops.
No. Actually, and that's the coolest thing about Algo, as we've talked about, is that it accommodates for that human nature, that we don't want to look into which node we should be switching this thing to that and the other.
Right.
Just make it easy, right?
Yes.
That's what they,
right.
and
Just
that's what they
show
do.
me the money, baby.
Just show me the money. Exactly. So no, they understand that about human nature, and it's an MIT professor who did it. So he knows what students are like. He knows what people are like, and it's very smart that he made his coin designed around that. So, all right, thanks guys so much, and let's see what things look like next week.
All right, see y'all later.
Take
Thanks.
care.
Bye guys.
Bye.